Welcome to Bible True Crime with Mr. Thoroughly. If you like true crime and interesting Bible stories, then this is the podcast for you. Today's episode is part 2 of the murder of 70 sons. So this is part 2 of the murder of 70 sons. If you didn't get to listen to part 1, go back and listen to that one first, because otherwise this one won't make as much sense. Now, just to recap a little bit from episode 1, though, we had the judge Gideon who died. He has 70 sons, and the people revert back to being wicked. One of the sons convinces the people from his hometown to make him king and persuades them to give him money and funds so that he can hire worthless fellows, and they go out and they murder all 70 of Gideon's sons, so that Abimelech is then made king by these people. But they missed one of the sons, and his name is Jotham. And Jotham tells a fable that pronounces a curse upon them, that they're going to be destroyed. So we are going to pick up here in Judges chapter 9 and see what happens to Abimelech and the people of Shechem and their supporters. I'm Steve, and I have Heidi with me, and we're going to start part 2. So look at Judges chapter 9, and we're going to start with verse 22. It says, after Abimelech had reigned over Israel 3 years, God sent a spirit of ill will between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, that the crime done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might be settled, and their blood be laid on Abimelech their brother, who killed them, and on the men of Shechem, who aided him in the killing of his brothers. And the men of Shechem set men in ambush against him, that would be Abimelech, on the tops of the mountains, and they robbed all who passed by them along that way, and it was told to Abimelech.
So it's really hard to feel any kind of sorry for Abimelech, because it's like, what did he think he was going to get when he goes after these worthless and reckless fellows? It's the bad company he's keeping, and I guess I don't think he can expect to have people surrounding him that are just going to take good care of him.
It's interesting, if I was going to describe what the situation was like, I'd call it anarchy, which means that you don't have a king or anybody in charge. But they actually did all this to get a king, and they're not following the king. But once again, when they're not following God, there's no morals set in place there or anything. So they're not going to follow the king either. So they're out there robbing people, and they're waiting for Abimelech to come by because they're going to do something to him also. But then somebody lets them in on it. It lets Abimelech in on it, saying, hey, this is what they're planning to do. And we're going to see who that somebody might be here in a second, because we'll have some names that get dropped coming up here. So verse 26, now Gaal the son of Ebed came with his brothers and went over to Shechem, and the men of Shechem put their confidence in him. So they went out into the fields and gathered grapes from their vineyards and trod them and made merry. And they went into the house of their God and ate and drank and cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal the son of Ebed said, who is Abimelech, and who is Shechem that we should serve him? Is he not the son of Jerubbaal, and is not Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Hamor, the father of Shechem. But why should we serve him? If only this people were under my authority, then I would remove Abimelech. So he said to Abimelech, increase your army and come out. So we have this guy, Gaal, the son of Ebed, and they're going to put their confidence in him, the men of Shechem. They're the ones that supported this murderer to be their king, so they're not a real good judge of character. But they're going to choose this Gaal guy, and this Gaal guy is like, who's this Abimelech guy? We don't need to follow him. I can do everything, put it all under my authority. So he's pretty much saying, make me king. And that's what's happening here. So he challenges Abimelech to increase his army and to come out. So gather your army and come get me.
And all these worthless fellows seem to jump from one worthless fellow to another worthless fellow.
I don't think there's anything else out here right now. I mean, there might have been some good people, but they killed them all. So it's just all worthless people at this point. Well, let's look beginning in verse 30. When Zebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gaal, the son of Ebed, his anger was aroused, and he sent messengers to Abimelech secretly, saying, take note, Gaal, the son of Ebed, and his brothers have come to Shechem, and here they are, fortifying the city against you. Now therefore get up by night, you and the people who are with you, and lie in wait in the field. And it shall be, as soon as the sun is up in the morning, that you shall rise early and rush upon the city. And when he and the people who are with him come out against you, you may then do to them as you find opportunity.
So wait a second. What is it? What's the benefit then to this guy that warns him?
Well, this Zebul guy, he's the ruler of the city, but he's on Abimelech's side. So where everybody else is turning against Abimelech, this guy is acting like he's turning against Abimelech, but secretly he's telling Abimelech what's going on. So remember before I said that there was somebody to let him know things that were going on? It could be him. It doesn't directly say that it's him, but now he is informing Abimelech of a way to defeat this Gaal, the son of Ebed, and the men of Shechem. By, it says lying in wait or setting up an ambush for them. But nobody knows that this Zebul, the ruler of the city, is actually on Abimelech's side, at least not fully at this point.
So either way, isn't his city going to get destroyed by them fighting?
I don't know, but maybe that's what he wants.
Okay.
We'll have to see what happens here, though. So let's look at the verse 34, and again we're in Judges chapter 9. So Abimelech and all the people who were with him rose by night and lay in wait against Shechem in 4 companies. When Gaal the son of Ebed went out and stood in the entrance to the city gate, Abimelech and the people who were with him rose from lying in wait. And when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, look, people are coming down from the tops of the mountains. But Zebul said to him, you see the shadows of the mountains as if they were men. So Gaal spoke again and said, see, people are coming down from the center of the land, and another company is coming from the diviners, terebinth tree. Then Zebul said to him, where indeed is your mouth now, with which you said, who is Abimelech, that we should serve him? Are not these the people whom you despised? Go out, if you will, and fight with them now. So if you picture this scene, you have this Zebul who's actually supporting Abimelech. But it doesn't sound like Gaal, the son of Ebed, realizes that. So they're both up there. You got Gaal with the leader of the city, Zebul, and they're seeing this ambush coming. And Gaal says, look, there's something out there. And Zebul's like, there's nothing there. You're just seeing shadows. And then he says, no, but as they come closer, he's like, no, but they're really out there. And so then he says, well, you were boasting that you were going to defeat Abimelech. Go do it. So it sounds like Zebul's going to stay inside the city, nice and safe, while Gael is going to go out and go to war against Abimelech. And we'll see what's going to happen with that coming up here.
Okay.
So, verse 39, Gael went out, leading the men of Shechem, and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled from him, and many fell wounded in the very entrance of the gate. Then Abimelech dwelt at Arumah, and Zebul drove out Gael and his brothers, so that they would not dwell in Shechem. You have Abimelech chases him. Gael pretty much gets defeated, and the men of Shechem flee with him. But what happens next is going to be where Jotham's curse gets fulfilled. And it's pretty grisly. And if you remember, it's going to involve fire that comes from Abimelech. So let's read on here and see what happens. Verse 42. And it came about on the next day that the people went out into the field, and they told Abimelech. So he took his people, divided them into 3 companies, and lay in wait in the field. And he looked, and there were the people coming out of the city, and he rose against them and attacked them. Then Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward and stood at the entrance of the gate of the city. And the other 2 companies rushed upon all who were in the fields and killed them. So Abimelech fought against the city all that day. He took the city and killed the people who were in it, and he demolished the city and sowed it with salt. So that's what happens to the city and the people that are around the city, but not the men of Shechem who had fled. So, and putting salt on it, he's going to destroy it so that they can't grow any crops there or anything like that. But these different groups that he has, they come in and they destroy everything. But the men of Shechem have escaped.
Now this is all still that Zebul's city?
Yeah. So I don't know if he got out of that or what's going to happen with that. But Abimelech had a grudge against the whole city, and he took it out on them. But the worthless men from Shechem, they got out. So let's see what happens to them, beginning in verse 46. Now when all the men of the tower of Shechem had heard that, they entered the stronghold of the temple of the god Berith. And it was told Abimelech that all the men of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. Then Abimelech went up to Mount Zalmon, he and all the people who were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand and cut down a bow from the trees, or is that a bough from the trees?
Mine says branch.
Let's just use branch. That's much easier. And took it and laid it on his shoulder. Then he said to the people who were with him, "What you have seen me do, make haste and do as I have done." So each of the people likewise cut down his own branch and followed Abimelech and put them against the stronghold and set the stronghold on fire above them, so that all the people of the tower of Shechem died, about 1,000 men and women.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have in this last part, you were thinking that the 70 sons was bad, that he murdered them, but now he's going to kill 1,000, both men and women, because they turned against him. And the way that he does it is by burning down this whole city or fortification here, by surrounding it with branches and lighting them on fire. And so everybody inside ends up getting killed. And it says about 1,000 people.
Wow. It's amazing that he still had any followers up to this point, because there'd been so much deception back and forth. It's crazy that there were still people on his side.
Yeah. But he's got people on his side, at least up until this next part, because what's going to happen next, is pretty crazy in itself. Because one of the parts of Jotham's curse is that something's going to happen to Abimelech too, not just to the men of Shechem that supported him. So now we get to see the rest of the curse and what happens to Abimelech. So in verse 50, it says, Then Abimelech went to Thebez, and he encamped against Thebez and took it. Now Thebez was another group of people that were supporting Shechem and all the stuff that went on. But there was a strong tower in the city, and all the men and women, all the people of the city fled there and shut themselves in. Then they went up to the top of the tower. So Abimelech came as far as the tower and fought against it, and he drew near the door of the tower to burn it with fire. But a certain woman dropped an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull.
Wow.
Then he called quickly to the young man, his armor-bearer, and said to him, Draw your sword and kill me, lest men say of me, A woman killed me. So his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed, every man to his place. So this is how Abimelech ends up dying. He's going to burn down another city full of people and kill all those people. But there's a woman from the city who says, we're not going to let that happen. And it says that she dropped an upper millstone. And some versions say a piece of a millstone. A millstone could weigh hundreds of pounds. And there's what they use the millstone for is they'd have a stone that would be on the bottom, and they'd have a stone at the top that would rotate, and it would crush grain and turn it into flour, and separate the husk from the kernel or whatever, and things like that too. So it was a real heavy piece that rolled around it. But they say that upper millstone, that means a piece of the millstone, but it could also mean that it's a piece of the upper millstone. So it doesn't require that it's a huge millstone that's being thrown over. It could be just a piece of it, but it could also mean that she's directing men to do it, and they grab a big chunk and throw it over. But it crushes his skull, but he's not dead yet.
That was the part I thought was crazy, because at first I thought, well, he's for sure dead. He's crushed. But then when he still is talking and alive, that was crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that you'd think it'd at least knock him out or something like that. But he's saying, kill me so that this woman doesn't get credit for it. But and guess what the Bible does? It gives the woman credit for it for sure. It tells that story, though. So I don't know. I just think that's absolutely fascinating to see what happens to him and see the way that God's justice comes about. And, of course, this is a fulfillment of the curse that Jotham, his brother, his only surviving brother, pronounced against him. But let's see how it finishes. Verse 56.
Now, before you go on, does that mean then that did she save the people in the tower?
It sounds like it.
Okay.
Yeah, because after he's dead, it sounds like the men that were with him, that they didn't care anymore. They just departed and went back to their places. So they didn't have anything to fight for anymore. After they saw Abimelech dead, they're all done.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So let's look at the last two verses in Judges chapter 9. Thus God repaid the wickedness of Abimelech, which he had done to his father, by killing his 70 brothers. And all the evil men of Shechem God returned on their own heads, and on them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal. So there we go. That's the story of the murder of the 70 sons.
Steve, do you have a parting scripture for us today?
2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 19 reads, And so we have the prophetic word confirmed, which you do well to heed as a light that shines in a dark place, until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts. All scripture is taken from the New King James Version, New American Standard Bible, English Standard Version, New International Version, or the King James Version.
Thank you for listening today. Be sure to follow the Mr. Therley podcast, share it with your friends, and join us again next time for more Bible True Crime.